What's up guys, Luke here from Luke's Points and Miles. Today I'm really excited to share with you another episode of Maximum Value Redemptions. I'm also happy to include a new technique, sorta, into these redemptions. Now I know the new trend on the YouTubes is to just be happy with whatever value you get from your points and miles. And I will admit some of my best trips have been with a less than average redemption rate. But what if I told you that today we are getting more than 14 cents per point on this somewhat aspirational redemption, and that does not include any kind of transfer bonus. I feel like these kinds of redemptions really bring with them a separate type of satisfaction, knowing you really squeezed extra value out of these credit card issuers and the airlines. And as a parent, you are getting yourself and your family everything you can. And that is always a very special feeling. So today, my example includes three award tickets. Now, the numbers as far as cents per point would be the same if I were solo, but the thought that this can be done with a family of three, to me, is really awesome. So if you want great examples, or at least marginal examples of how to redeem your hard-earned credit card rewards, then have a seat, grab a cold beverage, and strap in for a few minutes. I'm going to get right down to business on this one. I'll go over the redemption straight away, and then afterwards I'll talk about my personal experience, and I'll include some negatives this booking comes with. So if you want both sides of the story, stick around for the full video. As promised, today we are talking about 3 business class tickets on KLM Flying Blues 787-9 product from North America to Amsterdam in the spring. First of all, 3 seats are sometimes very tough to get on any flight, but I nabbed these as soon as I saw the availability. See, I was fortunate enough to have a fairly versatile strategy. I basically just wanted a business class offering to Europe, and I had a few different days to play with. When you have kids in school, sometimes you're handcuffed when it comes to dates. Now, I fly out of Columbus, Ohio, and the only real regular international flight we have is Toronto. So this means that when I want a great redemption, I normally have to take a positioning flight. I've also determined that 2 flights are my maximum for my family travel. 3 flights in one day gets too difficult. Someone's going to have a bad day. Normally, I search for flights from fairly close airports like New York, Boston, DC, or Chicago, but I wasn't finding what I needed in those cities, so I decided to think outside the box, and when I did, I found that Toronto's airport has a gang of international flights, in particular, flights to Europe. After finding what I thought was a great redemption on Air Canada for 70,000 Aeroplan points, I decided to jump on that, but it didn't work out. I'll include that story after this redemption. I know some of you just want these numbers. Then I found some type of promotional price with KLM Flying Blue. I talk about KLM Flying Blue, which is combined with Air France, quite a bit on the channel because I think they have some great value and super good versatility. The points are easy to earn because Flying Blue basically partners with all the major issuers, and there are regular transfer bonuses to make things extra juicy. So what was this promotional rate that I'm all excited about? Well, first let's go through the steps. I used Google Flights to find flights from Toronto to Amsterdam, and I found a lot of different options, but remember though, I'm looking for something direct, so here's what I found. The first one that caught my eye was the Air Canada option. More on that later. I ended up checking out the KLM flight. If you don't know, KLM is Royal Dutch Airlines, and they're headquartered in Amsterdam. They're also famous for gifting a blue house to business class passengers. Most of you won't really care, but they have 112 collectible Dutch houses in their signature blue and white, and it's something I've always wanted to see, and I think it's a really nice souvenir. At the end of the day, KLM has a great business class product, and the 787-9 seems to have the updated product. But when I look at the cash price, I almost spit my coffee out. Obviously, these are blown up prices, and I don't know why. If someone has any knowledge of why these prices would be so high, let us know in the comments. Is it for some kind of tulip festival or Dutch holiday? I don't know, but I do know that is not a price I could ever pay with my cash. So let's have a look at the Air France website. I mentioned that Air France and KLM are partners, and I use the Air France website for KLM flights because it's just easier for me to navigate. So I did not get screen captures while I was executing this redemption. And when I went back to get them, the promotional prices were gone. So these screen captures are for a different day, and it's a little more points total, but it's still a great redemption and a great example of the power of Flying Blue miles. I do have screen captures of my emails for the redemption to show that it is legit. I do get called out to prove it sometimes. If anyone doesn't believe the video or the screenshots, DM me and I will meet you in Amsterdam. As you can see, the Air France website is pretty straightforward. And here's an example of a lesser but still great price on similar flights. But I'll use my execution example for this video. 3 business class tickets for 112,500 Flying Blue miles and a fairly hefty $717 in taxes and fees. Now, I know that cash number is not what we normally want to see, but remember, that's 3 tickets. And don't gloss over that 112,500 miles for 3 tickets. That's an average of 37,500 miles and $239 each. That's great. Now remember, Flying Blue discounts children's tickets. When I take this inflated cash price, subtract the taxes and fees paid, I get 14.42 cents per point of value from these Flying Blue miles. Now consider likely half of these points were transferred over with a 25% bonus. I don't have exact numbers for that, so I'm going to stand on the 14.42 cents per point. Most of those points were earned using the Air France MasterCard issued by Bank of America. If you have any interest in these cards that earn rewards, check out my super cool card link in the description below. Using my link really helps out the channel and it allows me to upload mostly unsponsored content. And if you have used the link in the past, I sincerely thank you. Now you have an example of the power of Flying Blue miles. Let me tell you about a mistake I made and a negative part of this redemption. First off, the downside. I'm flying out of Toronto instead of, say, Detroit. So there are some extra logistics of entering Canada and going through the process there, but something I didn't know, it is much more expensive for me to fly an hour and 20 minutes to Toronto than it is to fly into, say, New York or Chicago, which are probably closer. There were no good points redemptions with United or Air Canada, so I ended up booking economy tickets on Air Canada using cash. This adds to the overall expense, but it still keeps within my parameters with only 2 flights to the destination. What about my mistake? This is a great example of maybe what not to do. See, when I found the Air Canada redemption, I wanted to jump right in. So the first thing I did was initiate a transfer from Chase to Aeroplan because there's currently a 20% bonus. Now, I guess I didn't realize the transfer isn't exactly instant, but within minutes of the transfer, I check Air Canada's site again, and someone purchased one of the available award seats, leaving me only 2. I can't let anyone sit in economy for 6 hours while I'm in business class. So what I should have done is called Air Canada and tried to put the 3 seats on a hold. Most airlines will do that, and after the points transfer is complete, I would just call them and purchase the seats. Rookie mistake, but hey, I like to think of myself as a perpetual beginner at life. It's easier for me to learn that way. But as it stands now, I have a lot of Aeroplan miles orphaned in their program, but I think they'll get redeemed soon. I still need to get back from Europe. Guys, just a reminder, if you want more information about these travel cards, check out my link in the description below. And this is the holiday season. We should all be using an online shopping portal for our retail shopping. I suggest Rakuten. Rakuten is a great cashback shopping portal, allows you to opt to earn Amex MR points in lieu of cashback, making this much more valuable in my opinion. Use my link in the description and you can get $30 cashback or 3,000 MR points back on your very first purchase. Do it. It's easy money. Guys, if you stayed around all the way to the end, I thank you and I appreciate every single one of you.